Comic Boom.
Hey guys, Comic Boom here to review Justice League issue 23, with the Justice League still trapped in the 6th dimension, now imprisoned by the World Forger, imprisoned on Apocalypse of the 6th dimension. And the prison guard, who's in charge of everything, is Lois Lane. And well, they need to escape. They can't find Superman. Superman's lost elsewhere. He's sort of off in a different realm, trapped again by the World Forger. So Superman's trapped in a different realm, in a specially created place by the World Forger to keep our prime Superman at bay and sort of off the playing field, so to speak. And meanwhile, our Justice League is imprisoned on Apocalypse in this prison, along with all the other villains that the World Forger had sort of captured and put away, and again, all guarded by Lois Lane. Now, this is interesting here. Now, the reason why the World Forger is imprisoning all these people is that anyone who doesn't see, like the World Forger does, that justice is the way to go, and that the only way to be successful is to outright exterminate Doom in all its forms, exterminate all evil, exterminate all the bad guys, exterminate anybody that could remotely be interpreted as being on the side of Doom. That's what, if you don't believe in that kind of extermination, which would involve the wiping out easily, perhaps even more than half the population of the universe, well, then you're not really on the World Forger side. Now, what's interesting here is that Batman doesn't get sent to the prison because Batman wants to talk to the World Forger, and the World Forger is very flattered that Batman wants to talk to him. So I find that kind of interesting, because the World Forger gives Batman a very big compliment, because he says Batman has one of the finest strategic minds in all the universe. So that's quite the compliment. So just like there's something special about our Superman, the prime Superman is the only Superman that might potentially be able to escape the World Forger's prison, where he imprisoned Superman. And similarly, our prime Batman seems to have a very fine strategic mind. And the World Forger, the Batman really listens to the World Forger. The World Forger is telling him, look, you have to understand that the only way that we can win is by doing this. And we have to, basically, it's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And so by eliminating, as horrible as it might sound, we have to do this. And the last thing the World Forger wants to basically test Batman. He says, look, we have to, Superman might escape. The prime Superman, even all the other Supermans that have been there in all the different past incarnations, they've all failed to escape, and they've ultimately died. But this prime Superman might succeed. But if he does escape, the World Forger will have to basically kill him and absorb his life essence. But the good news is that this Superman Prime, his essence will live on through the World Forger. Because as the World Forger explains, is that as this multiverse dies, as a world dies in the multiverse, his hammer lights up and he hits the anvil, and a new universe is formed. And that this new universe is formed with the essence of all the lives that lived in the previous ones, but basically revitalized and reborn. And the World Forger is concerned that when he does this, he doesn't want to be noticed by the judges of creation, because Perpetua, of course, had if you recall last issue, there's that long history of the new origin of the DC universe, that Perpetua was assigned by the judges of creation to create this multiverse. And Perpetua had 3 sons, the World Forger, the Monitor, and the Anti-Monitor. And the World Forger wants to make sure that if they're going to create this new universe, they don't want to get the attention of the judges of creation. They don't want the judges of creation to know what they're doing, because the judges of creation will come along and wipe all of them out, and they won't have a chance to even revitalize and recreate a universe. So that's a concern to the World Forger, and he needs to get Batman to see the bigger picture here. Now, interestingly enough, Batman looks to be maybe even seeing the bigger picture of the World Forger, and Batman seems inclined by the end of the issue to agree that maybe they have to take out Superman. And it looks as if, disturbingly enough, that at the end of the issue, Batman even realizes that the World Forger wants Batman to shut off some of the sun, or shut off the suns and the solar power in this realm where the World Forger has essentially caged Superman. And of course, by shutting off the sun, you're going to be killing Superman. Although his life energy will be preserved by the World Forger, it will nonetheless involve the caging of Superman, or the killing of Superman. Now, another interesting comment by the World Forger is that he makes a reference that Superman is always about doing the right thing, is always about the great, is about hope, and is always about the happy ending, whereas Batman's always about relentless preparation and never giving up. And that dichotomy between those two is represented in the fifth dimension with Batmite and Mxyz. And so Mxyz and Batmite are actually the embodiments of those two aspects of Batman and Superman, being Superman's quest for that happy ending and his sort of like pie in the sky mentality, and versus Batman's more serious, methodical, perhaps cynical approach and never giving up. And I found that was kind of interesting. Now, at the same time, what's happening here is Batmite and Mxyz are still fighting for control of reality. As you may recall in previous issues, Mxyz is still trying to uncreate reality or unimagine reality. And if Mxyz is successful, then and the universe is essentially unmade, then of course that will activate the anvil and the hammer of the World Forger, and and he will be creating a new multiverse, creating a new universe in the multiverse, and that might get the attention of the judges of creation, which is what they don't want. So they got to do it very carefully, and that's the concern of the World Forger, and that's what he's trying to impress upon Batman, that we got to do this right. Meanwhile, the Justice League is imprisoned, and they manage to escape with the help of Shane. Now, Shane is the sixth-dimensional offspring of the future versions of Hawkgirl and Martian Manhunter. Shane shows up, and he's inspired by his past selves of mother and father, Hawkgirl, Kendra, and Martian Manhunter, who basically encourage him to use his mental powers, telepathic powers, and psychokinetic powers, and he basically frees them. And he frees them, but he also, unfortunately, frees all the villains that are caged, and the villains want to take revenge on the heroes because they've been caged for many, many years, and they have nowhere to go. They're being attacked. So what happens to save the Justice League? They're saved by all people. They're saved by the Legion of Doom. Lex Luthor shows up, Brainiac shows up, Sinestro shows up to rescue the Justice Leaguers, to basically saying, look, get in here, we'll explain, we're rescuing you, we got to get you out of here. And that's very interesting. And also, Darkseid himself is actually piloting the ship of the Legion of Doom that rescues the Justice League. So what's going on here exactly? I don't know, because I thought the whole point here was that we were going to be leading toward a battle between Justice and Doom. And here we have the Legion of Doom rescuing the Justice League that supposedly are supposed to embody justice. So what's going on? And where did Darkseid come from? I gotta admit, I like that Darkseid's in here. I kind of like that Darkseid had a terrible placement in Justice League Odyssey. That series is awful. It's really great to see Darkseid here. He's being, at least hopefully he'll step up to the plate. Darkseid is the DC. Darkseid should be like DC's Thanos. Darkseid needs to get more attention. Darkseid is above Lex Luthor, and he should be doing more than just piloting a ship. So it's nice to see Scott Snyder using him. It's nice to see him show up here in the pages of the Justice League. He needs to be used more. James Tynion IV and Scott Snyder, it's nice to see them use him, Darkseid, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with Darkseid, because he's got to be a bigger player than he is so far. Check out Deceased #1, my review of Deceased #1, because Darkseid plays a role, albeit a short-lived role, in Deceased. But in any event, those who like Darkseid are going to get some Darkseid love this week between Justice League 23 and Deceased #1. But exciting stuff. I'm not really sure where this is going. The World Forger and Batman, some negotiations are going on there. Is Batman playing the World Forger for a fool? Is the World Forger being fooled by Batman? Are they making a deal? What's the Legion of Doom doing? Rescuing the Justice League? What's going on? How is Superman going to escape the dark realm that he seems to be in, that now no longer has any sunlight? How long has he been there? What's Lois Lane doing? Is Lois Lane the prison guard, the the Lois Lane, the six-dimensional version of Lois Lane, along with the six-dimensional version of Jimmy Olsen. Are they going to turn the tide? Are they going to maybe end up being on the side of the heroes at some point? We don't know. Guys, so much happened in this issue, but it was fun. It was good reading. I enjoyed it. Yeah, like I said, I like the pace here. We're moving this along, and I like the fact that something's happening. I'm looking forward to issue 24. Overall, I gotta say, I quite enjoyed the conversation between World Forger and Batman. I like seeing Batmite and Mxyz. I wish there was a little bit more action. I hope that we see more of the dialogue. I'd like to see more action and more fight scenes between Batmite and Mxyz, or Mxyz, or however you say his name. I'd like to have seen more of that. Hopefully we'll get more of that next issue. We'll have to wait and see. Tell me what you think of Justice League 23, guys. Follow me on Twitter at Metropolis40. And until next time, Comic Boom, out.